to use SQL Server. The next question was, there a summary of selected proposal information available for those reviewing the proposal in workflow? Really, in the action list, the only thing that they can get some information from the action list, like the PI name and what a person might have chose to add as a document description. But in order to see any information about the proposal, they do need to open it in order to see the budget or to see other information they might be looking at for approval. The next question was, what kind of reporting capabilities exist? Right now, with the current releases, a person would be able to look at all of their proposals in progress or submitted. One of the things that's coming to make us functionally equivalent with Coeus is a BI tool so that you can get at this kind of information, but we're looking at not having that until later. So any of the things that need to be pulled out of KC beyond simple reports on proposals by a PI or awards by a PI would need to be handled by your own school's BI tools. The next question is, will KC be compliant with FedConnect submissions? Right now, we don't have any plans for doing anything other than grants.gov submissions. Since many of the federal agencies have been asked to move back to grants.gov by the Office of Management and Budget, we're not really sure what's going to happen with FedConnect yet, but right now our plans are strictly with grants.gov. The next question was about being from a nonprofit research institute with the Department of Veteran Affairs, and security compliance is an issue. And I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm not really sure what. I don't really understand that question. So if you wanted to, you could send an email and maybe some additional information about what you need, and I can try to address that. The next question was security. Can security be established around budgets? A school can move out information like salary, so you don't see salary amounts for individuals. If salary is protected information at your school. You can also you leverage permissions to allow access and not allow access where appropriate to a budget. So you can have a person be able to view a budget, or you can have people who wouldn't be able to access the budget at all to even look at a view-only copy. So there are ways to make sure that the right people are seeing the budget, and the people who wouldn't necessarily have a reason to see it or a role in the budget cannot see it. So the next question was, can you demonstrate how communication works, the review cycle? I'm guessing you mean around the proposal. And thanks, Erin. If you want to send an email about security documents, I'd be happy to take a look at your specific question. So communication around the review cycle, that is a partially institution specific. I can give an example from my own school and the way that we would use it. What we would do is, in the case of a proposal, we would have for our pre-award area that looks at all proposals, all proposals at our institution and approves all proposals at our institution, they'd be set up as a work group so that they could see all the proposals that were in process. One of the ways to handle doing the proposals in process is to have the OSP office or the OSP work group or whatever you want to call them be a review or an FYI copy in the very beginning of the proposal. So they not only can take a pre-review look if they want to before things are finished, but they could make suggestions, make corrections, and they at least know how many proposals are out there that might be relevant to a current deadline, for instance. One of the things that Kuali Rice does and Kuali Workflow does, well, notifications and workflow in Kuali Rice, is you can set your personal preferences to get emails whenever something shows up in your action list, so that you can get an email when a proposal is ready for you to review, so that you get a link directly in that email and you can go directly to the document and take whatever action you need to on it. You can also keep your action list open so that you can see what's going on. with each of the things that are hitting your action list for review. And if you're a school that's using both KFS and KC on the same version of RICE, you could actually have a bunch of different documents in here based on your roles in the financial system and in the research admin system. So it's really a combination of the workflow notifications that a user can set up, how often they get those, and using the action list that they know something's ready for them. Beyond that, I think it's really an institutional decision how communications beyond those simple things provided by the system will work. And if that doesn't answer your question, please let me know.
Okay, well, I moved to another phone, Lori, so people can hear me. This is Chuck Insicki from RSmart. If there's any other questions that anybody has, please email us. We'll be glad to follow up with a response. I want to thank Lori for a great presentation today and appreciate all the hard work she did. And I want to thank all of you for spending the time to join in. I know I talked to a lot of you and reached out to you in the past, and I appreciate you participating.
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone. It's been great to demo. I've enjoyed your questions. I saw that there were a couple more. I'll go ahead and address those. There's a question about security on the award side, and again, just like budget and proposal, it's all around setting up permissions and roles for appropriate people. So you could have a really open system or not, depending on what the needs of your school would be. On the award budget by line item, unfortunately I can't show you that today because they're in the middle of finishing it. So what we saw of that budget screen is what I can show you without getting a bunch of error messages right now. But it really looks exactly like the proposal document. I mean, I can try to open this one here and see if they've been able to do any work on it, but I can't make any promises on what it'll look like. So if I open this, let's cross our fingers. It really is exactly like the proposal budget, so that you're creating it or moving information from the proposal into the award for modification exactly as you would in the proposal. So it's very similar activity. But I want to thank you all for coming. I appreciate doing it, and thanks, Chuck.
Bye.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Web Events Made Easy.